Hey, everybody. So we're back. Rob is on the line. Appreciate his time that he's taken. If anybody ever wants to come on the show, you can always come on, I mean, I do pay good. It's just not Shohei Ohtani money, and it's sure not going to be Matsuhara money either. I'm so messed up anyway. Not so great a podcast. As you can see, this is not really creative, but at least I try my best to sometimes just talk shit. But this episode, we're going to bring it down a bit. We're going to slow it down a little bit. And we're going to talk about investing with Rob here. For anybody out there, whoever listens to the episodes, as far as investing, I think it's an important thing. Maybe one of the things that I wish when I was younger, that I could have started off a long time ago when I was much younger and knew about it. And, Rob did it. I remember he came over to my house. I'll never forget this. He slept over. My wife was out of town at that point when I was married. And I was into stuff that was not really important, but it was just more entertainment. And I was always big into the entertainment stuff, and because I get bored pretty quickly. And I woke up, I swear it was like 5 a.m, and I had an iMac, like that bubble with the big monitor, not the flat one, the tube version of it with the blue spots on it. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. And this guy's sitting on a chair on that desk, and I'm looking at the screen, and I see all this green and shit at that time. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing at this? I was like, damn, are you still awake? You didn't sleep yet? He's like, nope. And what was he doing? He was making his moves. And me, over here, me just was thinking like, man, I don't know what this guy's thinking about, what he's doing, but hey, little did I know that his moves were amazing moves that I wish that I could have done. And you don't have to be anybody smart. You don't have to be, I just say that like that way because I don't want you to think you have to know about it. It's just making about maybe doing the research, making the moves you believe are right. Maybe listening sometimes to outside. Well, I would just say this much. In the episode, we're not going to say, or I'm not going to say what to do, what to pick when it comes to investing. You're going to do your research. We're not here to tell you how to do things. So just in case, the moves you make, it's because you believe in those moves and you believe they're right. And hopefully, whatever you hear from what I say, which I'm definitely not an expert, I just go based on my own experience. And then with what Rob says, maybe it gives you a breakdown, maybe a little education on it, and gives you some ideas on how to really make the best out of it, no matter what class you're in. Whether you're, not high income, middle class, well, high, I'm sure it's a little bit, I won't say easier, but it's a little, if you don't have expenses or bills, like for some of us who live week by week, then it could be something that may make sense. We all could do it. And I will say my take on it. So if you don't mind, Rob, I'll start very quickly. Because, I know that you're gonna, in the words of The Rock, you're gonna speak gospel. You're gonna speak gospel. And, for me, so I'm going to say this much. My biggest, I won't say regrets because there's many times we have regrets, but one of the things that I wish I could have gone back and done or do over, probably do that. Probably do that because I've had the opportunity to have long employments with companies, long years, investments, and there's moves that I made that were great. Others weren't great. Now, of course, there were circumstances, but in order to build myself up, I wanted to look into the stock market. And even though I felt it was late, it's never too late to do it. There's no age factor to this. There's always an opportunity. The best way to look at it, it's an opportunity for you to do something that can help you later on. Whether it's you, whether you have kids, because you can always write in a will, hey, these accounts go to them, whatever the case is, you could do all that stuff, So that's one thing you have to always think about, especially if you have a family, so on and so forth. It's you, but then of course, The smart thing is maybe dual will and do those things to make it right, to pass it down to your kids or your family or the ones you love. Doesn't always have to, could be a girlfriend, could be whoever, you know? But though, you know, to me, those are things important. Now, one thing I'll say though, for me, week to week checks, you know, it's most of us because of the amount of debt, circumstances, so on and so forth. So that's one thing. The other thing is, whether we live check to check, we always spend money on something, whether it's food, whether it's fast food, whether we shop here and there, whatever it is. There's always an opportunity that we can maybe use some of that to invest. Because there's many companies out there now. I mean, you know, Rob, you can correct me after I finish. You know, I'll let you know when I finish, by the way. I'm sorry. That I don't believe that many of them actually have limits on what you can start with. Maybe they do, maybe, you know, within the rules. He'll probably can clarify that. I don't remember. You know, so, and by the way, this episode's not sponsored in any way by any of the apps that we have, you know, or the ones that I use. I use Robinhood, but I'm not sponsored by Robinhood in any way. Just so everybody can know that if you listen to the episode, has nothing to do with any sponsorships or anything. If it was, I would say, hey, this is sponsored by them, but it's not. You know, so for me, I always looked at, my approach was, and again, this was how I started. If I'm buying from a company that I feel like is relevant, and I see something in them that it's continuous and it'll keep on going, and they have maybe, some of us do the short term, others of us look at the long term. I like to look at the long term because, sure, short term, sometimes we can make money in some things, but I always looked at the company. If I'm going to invest in a company, which they all are, I always want to be them. I want to envision them being relevant, you know, later on, that they'll still be in existence, that there won't be, you know, even if there's losses, they still have enough capital to cover the losses and balance the stuff out, that they could still be an existing company. Now, of course, sometimes shit hits the fan and things happen, and whatever the case is. At the same time, we have to remember it is kind of like a way of gambling, but it's a legal way of gambling, you know? And of course, you have, you know, things get a little complicated with the whole crypto thing, but it's not complicated. It gets still based. It's just constantly, with crypto, you can basically do it, I think, 24 hours a day. There is no market close for that. It's just either the systems are down, they're doing something, but it usually doesn't take long for them to reset or whatever maintenance that's done. That's my experience with that. But if, you know, when it comes to the stocks, I always looked at, hey, you know what? I was big on food and fast food. So I would say, yeah, you know what? If I get my own food, make my own lunch, not buy lunch or candy bars, whatever it is, I could use that money and put it towards investing. And that was how I slowly started doing it. You know, think about it. If you go to an office, you go out work, if you go somewhere, if you go outside, you usually are running out, you have no time. Unless, of course, things are organized and everything is great. But for me, it was always running out. I have to be moved. I have to move fast and do whatever. So chances are, I'm going to, at some point, in me running fast, not being prepared, not having the things I need to be able to cook, you know, again, my life was a little crazy at some point. It was difficult to not eat outside and spend money. Sometimes, if it was a slice, you know, whether it was a burger, whether I sat down somewhere, you know, again, $10, maybe $20, $25 average. Think of it 2 times in a day, you know, so those are the things that I was, you know, I try to cut down, and I would use that. And it's like, you know what, if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to just get the cheap thing, you know, on the go. And then I would take that and then put it towards that. And that's how I slowly built mine. Because again, I didn't have money, and even now it's still week by week. So I do the best I can to make, whether it's $5, $10, whatever it is. Of course, the more you invest, chances are the more you can return. But again, it also depends on the moves you're making, whether you get the return or you don't, whether you lose, you know. Yeah. And Rob will probably clarify that. So then I started looking at companies that I supported, and I'm like, you know what? it's tough because you just don't know. That's where the research part comes in. So for me, I'll say this much, and this is not picking stock advice. I know Rob knows I'm a big fan of Coca-Cola, but I do fractions. I don't always buy in full because I always feel like, you know what, slowly the way I'm doing it is the only way it's going to help me build up constantly. Now, of course, things happen. Sometimes you have to withdraw and whatever. Okay, whatever. But I was doing fractions and that helped me out. Each person has their own discipline. If you stay disciplined with it, you can build it up. You may be surprised at times what you can do, but it all comes down to the discipline of it, of being able to do it. Don't let fear be the factor in whether you want to invest and take a chance. Because sometimes we can go to the casino and bet and there's no fear there because we will take that money and put it on the table. We'll lose it within seconds. At least in the stock market, you don't really, it has to be really, really bad for something like that to happen. But you don't lose it in seconds. That was my other mindset. I could play roulette right now and $20 will be gone in 15 seconds once the ball bounces in the number and that's it. I'm talking about losses because we don't, chances are at some point you're going to lose the game and you lose that $20 right there. Even slots too. Goodness, I think I remember having a friend of mine who played like $100 slot and it was like done. They won like $50 and it's like, all right, they lost 50, But again, that's my take. So I always believe it's good. If you want to have almost like a secret savings account, if you want to call it that, that's what I would call it. Emergency fund, whatever, do that, And there's some ways you can probably play it safe that are consistent. And that's why I mentioned about being irrelevant, like the ones I see that could stick around. But again, some things are unpredictable, with companies and things we don't know. So I always say, don't all put everything in one. You want to start off, just think of little industries here and there. And just, and if they have dividends, that's a good thing. That means that they pay quarterly profit shares to you. Now, of course, the more you have, the more you get back. I'm done because I know Rob probably has other things he can mention that, or maybe correct me on some of the shit that I said, but I'm hoping to help someone out. Damn, that was 12 minutes. I'm sorry.
No, that was good. That's good. My advice to anyone who wants to invest is if you're just starting out, invest in things you like. Products that you use, whatever you're interested in. Because you have to do research on this stuff. And if it's something you like anyways, it's going to be easy to read about it. If it's something you're not interested in, you're not going to want to do research and you're not going to do it. And you're not going to know which companies are good, which ones are making money. You want to know about that. You want to know what's a profitable thing to invest in.
Right. I'm gonna, if you don't mind me saying this real quick, you know me. I love my sportswear. I love my sneakers. So Nike was one of them. I forgot about Nike because I'm building my stuff back up again because I had to withdraw on mine, and it happens. It happens to many of us. Had nothing to do with loss. It was the circumstances came up, and I had to take money out, and I had to do things and take care of it. But now I'm building it up again. Nike, for me, my hobbies. Nike. I love sneakers, so why not? And they have a dividend too. So you get quarterly profit. Coca-Cola, I mean, it's not sodas all the time. They have different, they have sports drinks. They have things. So again, who doesn't buy that, long term? They've been around for how long? So again, that was my little move there. And again, they offer dividends. Then on the other end, I look at some retail stocks, and I know sometimes retail stocks maybe, I look at Ulta Beauty, it's not just women based. Again, we have to do the research. Go to the website. If you ever bought from them, if you ever bought a gift for your girlfriend, your wife, for yourself, they sell men's stuff too. So, we always sometimes just isolate things and think it's just one thing. But then when you look at the stock prices, like, oh, wow. Yes, it's because they are relevant. Who doesn't go out and buy makeup? Who doesn't go out and buy cologne? We all do. At some point, we do. So I just look at them as a relevant company. Again, not saying to pick things, that just these are just the little things that for me attract me as far as what I look at. Then I follow wrestling and I follow the UFC. I used to order their pay-per-views, go to live events. A lot of the live events sell out. These days wrestling is pretty hot. So, I invested in them. They had a stock. Now they merged together. So now they're on one company. So I'd think of that. And that's, when he's saying enjoy or things that you like, that's what I like. I do gaming sometimes when I have a moment. Why not? Gaming has been around for so long. It's lucrative, and it's only going to advance more. Whether physical copies are purchased, whether it's downloadable, there's always expansion packs, and depending on the game, how popular it is, and of course, the quality of the game and the word and, the review from the pros who review games, it's going to make money, So there's a lot of things. Music, we listen to music, so for me, I ended up getting Warner Brothers music group stock. If you like to watch movies, there's, it's whatever you feel that you believe is something, that's where the research comes in. I missed out on that. And I believe, I know the reason I'm saying it, I'm sure that, he may agree, that we say research is because maybe 20, 30 years ago, you would have someone you can go to. You still can. And they can give you advice of what to do because they're still there. They have those financial advisors or the stock. What do you call them? What do you call them, Rob? What are they called? Financial advisors? Am I right?
Yeah, financial advisors.
And they will tell you, hey, make this move, make this one. Of course, I'm sure in some way that they're making something out of that. They're just not doing it for free, either the bank or whatever, it's a service. Or you put a little work into it and just think of, that's how I did it. I didn't, trust me. I went in cold, straight in cold water, freezing water. I didn't know. I just started thinking about companies. I was like, you know what? Does Nike have? Oh, wow, they have it. Oh, I didn't know. I actually put Sephora, first. I didn't find them. And I saw Ulta Beauty on there, and I was like, oh, you know what? That could be a good one. I've shopped there a lot, easy gift. It's the easiest gift you can get. You never can go wrong with Ulta. So there we go. I didn't have to like them. I just felt like, hey, if I'm giving my money, why not invest in it? My money goes to them usually at least 3-4 times a year, for myself, or as a gift, for whoever, so I did that. Now, again, it doesn't always mean that, you have to do your research. You want to see how it performs. What I would use is Yahoo Finance. I don't use it much anymore because a lot of the apps now show you the performance anyway. But still, Yahoo Finance many times has a little bit better news, that's readable that you could see. I'm not sure to the degree of Robinhood. I know I've used to see articles. I'm not sure how it is now to that level. But again, and there's technology too. There's Tesla, there's so many things, so many. Then you have the whole Bitcoin, and then you have all these other crypto things going on. Then you have Ethereum and all this shit. It's a lot. It's a lot, but I just believe that everybody can do it. I mean, shit, if I could do it, then anybody can do it. It's good to start and just don't be afraid. I think fear many times holds us back in what we can do and what we can't do. And it sucks though, because it's happened to me. Like I've been afraid of doing things. And then when I do, it's like, man, you know what? What was I afraid of? What was the worst that could happen? And then, you feel better then once you start seeing little things and you start, checking on it. And then when you have more money, then you can put into this, I don't know. I mean, like today, I think today I was actually talking to you about it. I was like, hey, you know what? I want to do this. I want to get a company that has a good dividend, because I haven't done it in a while. Coca-Cola, again, I have some of them, but I want to see who else. And he said, oh, these are the companies. And I was like, oh, let me do some research. And he gave me some feedback. And again, Rob is a good friend of mine. So it's not as if it's like, and he's done it for a long time. So, for me, it's like, there's nothing to lose in asking. And either way, I still do my research. And again, fraction buying is good. Candy bar costs $2. I could put $1 in the stock market and buy fractions, and I could slowly build it up. You do that, you get full shares then. And then, again, you have control. We many times we think we don't have control of these things. We have absolute control. Just don't give it to anybody else unless you trust them, to do things. Or if you hire someone, an advisor, then they can do it for you. Of course, they have to work with what you have. I mean, I hope I'm not right. I mean, I'm sorry. I hope I'm not wrong on what I said there. I mean, you can take over now.
No, you're right. I mean, but like, also a lot of people think they don't have enough money to invest or whatever. You could start with almost nothing. A lot of these like online brokerage firms, they offer free trading now. You don't have to pay like a commission most of the time. Some people think you have to buy a minimum of like 100 shares of something. You don't. With a lot of them, you don't have to buy a full share. Like you said, you buy fractions of a share. You don't really need that much money anymore to invest.
Yeah. Yeah. This
It's
is what,
pretty easy now to doing it by yourself. Just buy one share, two shares, or whatever, or a fraction of a share. It's easy.
like, hey, if you shop through Amazon and put your money into Amazon, I mean, they get better and better, a lot of people, if you, whatever you support that you see as a company that has like long-term, you know, workings as far as how they keep on going, why not? I just looked at the food and, even, I'm not gonna say the food industry, but that's why, again, I did Coca-Cola because I'm like, I'm always buying, whether I order something, I always buy like a sports drink. I get the Body Armor. I think they're part of Coca-Cola, and then you have the Sprite and whatever brand there is under them. You will find out because when you click into the information, it tells you who they have, if there's other avenues in their business that they have investments in. I mean, goodness, there's even sports teams you can invest in. Now, I don't know the rate of return, but shoot, I mean, you could say when you invest, you really are part of, whether it's a fraction of an owner, hey, you could call yourself an owner. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, Manchester United is out there. I'm not laughing. I don't mean it in a bad way, but hey, if you like sports, why not? I think the Braves have a stock too. And there's so many different, again, it's just type it in and you'll see if it comes up, then it means that there may be some type of affiliation in some way, some type of connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, now if you don't want to like pick an individual company, you could invest in like an ETF which is an exchange traded fund that basically invests in like a group of stocks involved in like one type of business. Like there's ETFs for like semiconductors or robotics or artificial intelligence. There's some ETFs that just trade options based off like one security. So like I own like one ETF that uh, basically tracks what Nvidia does. Nvidia is like over $900 a share. I buy an ETF that costs around $40 a share that tracks 1.5 times what Nvidia stock does percentage wise. Something like that. Something you usually pay someone. If you had like a financial advisor, you pay them to do that stuff. You could buy an ETF that basically is like the same thing as hiring a financial advisor. It's going to trade for you. The managers of that ETF, all they do is trade options based on that stock, and they generate revenue which they pay out as dividends. So like this one ETF I have pays out every month a dividend that's usually around 10%. So you can make a decent amount of money with that type of stuff.
Yeah, let me ask you a quick question. Do you mind, because I've always wanted to be educated on the options part of it, and for anybody who's starting off, between me and you can always, I know you can always, I can always ask you. But for anybody who's starting
Yeah.
out there, that way they know. Can you explain what the options trading is, what the risks are, what's really involved versus regular buying stock or investing in crypto, whatever it is, and what the differences are? That way they know. Because I know there's people out there, there's people who, start out, they graduate high school or they're in it and they want to invest and so on and so forth. That way they have a full idea. If you know, in the shortest way you could say it.
All right, with options, options are just contracts. So there's two types of contracts. One's called the option, and one's called a put option. So a call option is your contract to buy something at a certain price. So each option contract is for 100 shares. So let's say there's a stock trading at $100 a share. When you buy a call contract, it's to buy 100 shares at $100 a share. And then there's it's only good for a limited amount of time. So there's a time that it expires. After the expiration date, if you don't exercise the contract, which means you don't buy those shares at $100 a share, the option becomes worthless. So you basically buy a call option when you think a stock is going to go up. So that $100 share stock, if you think it's going to go to 150, you buy an option to buy at $100 a share, and when it hits the expiration date, you buy it for $100, and if it is 150, you make $50 a share. But it could also go the other way. If it goes down, and you brought that contract, you're not going to exercise it, because if you do, you just lose money. But if you don't exercise it and it expires worthless, all you lose is the price of the contract. So it's a way to kind of gamble more with stocks. You're betting on the stock going up when you buy a options contract. When you buy a put contract, you're buying a contract to sell shares at a certain price. So if it's like $100 share price, and you think it's going to drop down to $75 a share, you buy a put option. If it does drop down, you sell your shares for that price.
And so then the put option. I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you. The put option, you don't lose completely all the money. So it sounds like when you do the call one, it's you lose it all if it goes down. If you do the put, you lose money, but you're not losing it all. You're basically, you could just sell it for whatever at that point.
Well, you could sell it for the price that the contract's for, but you're basically thinking that the stock price will fall even more than that.
Okay.
Below that price. So you're selling it at the higher price, what the contract is for. Now, if the price goes up, you're not going to sell it for that price because you lose money. You could sell it for whatever the current price is. So then the contract is going to expire worthless.
Okay. So either way,
So,
both of them, you have it. Sounds like you
have a chance to lose.
Got it.
But all you're going to lose is the price of the contract.
Okay.
You're not gonna lose like the full value of the shares. So that's why a lot of people like buying contracts, because you're not spending $100 a share for 100 shares. You're just buying a contract, which a lot of times people buy contracts that are a couple dollars a share.
Okay.
So instead of spending like $10,000, you buy a contract for $2 a share, so you spend $200.
Now,
then the thing is got to make the move before the expiration date, because after the expiration date, it's worthless.
Now, can you explain short selling for someone, again, who's new, that's kind of coming into it? Do you mind doing that for quick?
Yeah. So short selling is basically you're selling a stock that you don't own. And the reason you do that is because you think the price of that share is going to drop. So what you do is you borrow the shares from your brokerage account, whatever company you have an account with. You borrow the shares from them, you sell them in the open market for whatever price, and then you hope that the share price drops after you sold them, so that you could buy back those shares, so you could return them, and you buy them back at a cheaper price. So usually you want to do that with a company that you know is doing bad, and that's why the stock price is going to drop.
And that's what happened with GameStop, right? Wasn't that whole thing that happened with them? That was
Yeah,
struggling, right?
GameStop. I mean, it's a bad company. It loses a ton of money. So everyone was thinking they were going to basically go out of business. So a lot of people were shorting it, and they're right. It does lose a lot of money, but what they didn't realize was that there was going to be a lot of people who were just buying up the shares, and they didn't care that it lost a lot of money and that was a bad investment, because they knew that so many shares had been sold short that if the price started going up, those guys who shorted the stock were eventually going to have to buy those shares back to return them to whoever they borrowed them against. And if they had to pay a higher price, that's what they had to do. They had to pay a higher price.
And
And
that's where
that's
people
what
made that
drove
money.
even
Damn.
higher and higher.
That's no longer the
That's
case
not like
anymore.
a $2
That's over
stock.
with, right? I think that's over with, wasn't it? That was like years. Was it 2020?
Yeah, that was in 2020.
That's crazy. People were just playing at that point.
Yeah, but the thing was, a lot of people just had extra money because of all the like stimulus stuff or whatever. All the
Yeah.
unemployment people that were getting like all this free money.
Props to you guys. I remember seeing this somewhere, and it reminds me. And I try my best, because again, like I said, week to week is so difficult. But there was someone said, it says, hey, it's not about the money. It's not about the money you have. It's what you do with that money you get, which is true though, because 2020 was the banner year of what you would do with the money. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. So it is what it is. But whoever did it and did those moves, salute. And if you still have those funds and have that money, salute, because they were millionaires. Didn't that happen? Right?
Yeah.
Salute to you guys. Hopefully you guys didn't go crazy and just, maybe set your lives up and just, put money into investments to secure your future or whatever it is. Salute to those, because that's amazing. There's nothing more than say that that's amazing. I just know I didn't, And it was funny though, because wait, wasn't it me who said, "Hey, won't you?" Didn't I say that to you in 20? Because remember with what you're saying. Don't forget what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like games. I was like, "Hey, won't you just get GameStop?" But I said it randomly. I didn't mean it like I know they're gonna lose money. I think I said that to you. Then I was like, "Hey, won't you just invest in GameStop?" And you were like, "No, they suck." And then I think didn't we have that conversation? And then it was like, he's like, "Yo, this shit's going crazy." Right? Wasn't it something like that? I swear.
Yeah.
I was like, man, for real? And I was like, shit, I could have invested. And why didn't I do it? So again,
honestly, I had GameStop stock for about 4 or 5 years, and I sold it in 2019 because it just kept going down. So in 2019 they cut their dividend, so I just sold it. I figured I'm not gonna hold it anymore. They paid a great dividend for a long time.
And the way
but once they lost so much money, it wasn't worth it anymore.
Just in case if anybody isn't here, but I'm going to give my definition of the dividend. Dividend is basically the profit sharing money that you get from the company, the profits they make on a quarterly basis. Is that the best way to say it?
Not always quarterly, but most of them do it that pay dividends do it quarterly.
Okay, yeah.
Some do it like once a year. They just do it annually, and some of them do it like monthly.
I need to look at those monthly ones, because I think the ones I get are the quarterly ones. I think, like I said, I was telling someone, I was like, hey, money is money. If it's small, if it's a penny, whatever. Of course, the point is to put more money into so you can get more. But it's not bad when you're getting a quarterly little piece of money here and there. It builds up. People don't think that. That's what I'm saying. Hey, if you like candy, if you like M&Ms, all those things, Snickers, whatever, look at the company brand. Again, if you're going to buy it, why don't you just invest in the company at that point? There's nothing wrong with it. That's just me. Whether it's little or not. Like, we all have a circumstance. And again, you can always sell it and get the money and take your money. It is your money. You have control over it, so you could do that. I just look at that as, as a safety net sometimes, Shit happens, things have to be taken out, but it's nice to know that you have it. And you can always go back into it, Of course, if your goal is long term, that's different. But even then, you can still do the same thing. I don't know. Anything else you want to say about that? I mean, I think there's nothing else. I mean, is there anything else I'm missing?
No, not really.
So if anybody who wants to do that, again, investing in stocks, or we didn't really go into the crypto, but crypto is basically, I think crypto is really the easiest one to figure out, because it's just, you just invest in, the money goes up, you win. The money goes down, you lose. It's nothing, I mean, it's the same thing with all the other ones anyway. That's just more like, you can do that around the clock, where the other ones have like a set time frame. It's better to trade, which is in the day. I mean, there's a lot of rules and things like that, but you go as you learn as you go when it comes to it. But I just thought it would be cool to talk about something different, aside from like, when we do like our constant little nonsense, or I do my nonsense, and I do, like I said, my other podcast and other things. I always think it's always a good idea to talk about things like that. It helps out, whether you're young, whether you're older, whether you're you're a senior citizen, retired, whatever. There's never a time that's bad, There's never a time that's bad. It's worth it, and again, if you shop, let's say, like in places that, are publicly traded and they've been around for a while, it may not be bad. Just do your research, and you may be shocked sometimes at how good it is. Don't always listen to what everybody has to tell you, because at some point you want to do your research. You may want to go by your own gut feeling sometimes. It doesn't always mean that's going to be the best decision or not, or the worst one. It could be the best one, It may, again, it depends what you put into it. That's where the research comes in. Anybody can tell you what they believe. I always say it's always good to do research. And if you believe and like the company, just go for it. Don't be afraid, because then if you see that you're losing, that's how you keep track. You could sell it, there's nothing wrong with that. So that's just me. That's me, me saying that. Rob, I mean, sure, he has the way he does his, his stuff too. I'm sure it's not too different either, but I just, I'm a big believer in, hey, if you like what you like, you support a company, why not? If you have internet, if you have TV with someone or whatever it is, invest, If you, like I said, music, sneakers, goods, I mean, housing, real estate. There's so many different things. It depends what you're interested in. And sometimes you may be shocked. You don't have to, you can invest in that, and you can invest in other things. If you buy homes and stuff and flip them, same thing. It's an investment anyway, So, I mean, there's nothing to lose. It's always good to start small. At least with this, you have a little bit more control to start small. You don't have to have all this giant cash with you, and just keep track of it. I know sometimes it may be overwhelming, but you'll see, because you could see it. Your account tells you, hey, you win. You're making this much. You're not making this much overall, and that's the easy way to keep track of it. It's always good to take a look at it daily. Whether it's in at the end of the day at least, or in the middle of the day. Why not? It doesn't take long to see if you're making money or not. Or of course, or if you're losing a little bit, either way, it's all important. Anyway, that was the Not So Creative podcast. What was this one? The investment edition. Rob spoke gospel in the words of The Rock. What he says, I'm going to speak some gospel today. Hey, the good thing is there was nobody crying today. There was no crying. I had to sneak it in there. Hey, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Deezer, and some other, YouTube as well. Follow it, subscribe, listen. Hey, if you're up for a chat, leave comments on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, EDAPT LLC. My cousin, I'm going to say this very quickly. My cousin has this app on Apple Roku. It is called the Vivid Arts Network. Check it out. It's be awesome, supporting artists worldwide. And it's actually the Vivid Arts Network TV. I want to say that very quickly for my cousin. And I'm not getting paid. It's a family affair. So, I'm happy for her. I'm proud of her accomplishments. I'm doing my own thing, of course, as you could hear. And check it out. It's actually an Apple Roku smart TVs. And she has biographies on there. I'm sorry, correction. Documentaries, shows, previous live events, interviews, things like that. The fashion show she had last year is on there. Wait, did I tell you about that? I didn't tell you about that, right?
What, the fashion show?
No, that she has an app now. She has like an app on TV now. It's the Vivid Arts Network TV. Like if you check,
You told me that. Yeah.
you may be able to download it. I have it on the Apple TV. I downloaded it, and it's like a nice presentation and stuff. And she's still doing work. There's an interview I did with her, which was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So, and again, I always appreciate the time. I appreciate Rob. Rob, I got your back at some point down the line when I become Shohei Ohtani, millionaire money, or other whoever. But yeah, I got you for this. And then we'll figure that out. And then what else? I'm working on some stuff. Trying to figure out what's next. The podcast is just one part. There's other things. I'm trying to build it up. I'm trying to have guests. I want to have maybe like a permanent co-host at some point. I don't want to use AI. And I didn't mean to say this and prolong the episode. I don't want to use AI, but I may be tempted. I'd rather have someone who has like real feelings and can actually speak. Rob is not always around and he's busy too. It'd be great to have someone that could really do this. You don't even have to be here. Maybe at some point when things get better and the space gets bigger and better presentation, be online and YouTube and do all these things live, or at least do it video and then put it up. Could be cool. I don't want to use AI, but I know there's an option I can use AI. I'd be curious to do it to see how it sounds. I am curious to see what it would be like. But it'd be cool to have a live person. I have some people in mind. I did put up an ad on my Instagram page, well, my personal one, not the business one, see if anybody. And the crazy thing is that, nobody asked about, hey, what is it? What's involved or whatever. Like I said, I'm a big believer, in this. I'm going to say this very quickly. Aside from the investments, we all work hard. Some of us are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever it is. Some of us have businesses that we do, to make extra, to provide for families, to help ourselves out, to launch ourselves into the stratosphere, reach heights that we maybe never reached before. It's not bad to ask sometimes, because sometimes you may never know that the thing you may be able to do work-wise may be the easiest thing in the world. And sometimes you may not even have to move. Movement is good though. We need to move anyway, but I'm just saying that. Just wanted to drop that. Anyway, always grateful of Rob, of showing up, showing out. Spoke the gospel today. This is his skill set. Aside from other things too, there's a lot of skill sets he has. And as people can tell, my skill set is shit talking. But anyway, so very quickly, again, going back to my cousin. Yeah, so she has this Vivid Arts Network, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, let me do the song again because I felt like I just didn't finish it right. Let me do it again. Oh, shit, that's not the one. Hold on. There we go. But wait, there we go. The crickets are shut up now. All right, so again, thank you for listening. Shout out to my cousin with the Vivid Arts Network. Congrats. I've been taking a look. I'm trying to pass the word on Instagram. It's not sponsored, but at some point, it would be nice if I get a cut. No, I'm kidding. All right, Not So Great Podcast is Rob on Bluetooth out from, I think he's in Tokyo. So thank you again, man. You should be asleep now, dude. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. See ya.